Good morning everybody, hope you're making the best of this rather dismal Friday. In front of you can see two commissions that I've been recently requested to do of two beautiful Newfoundland dogs. One is a girl with lovely white markings and the other one is a boy, brother and sister. Anyway, I thought I would take the opportunity to show everybody how to create black fur that isn't just black. So you need the shine on it, etc. So without further ado, we will head on over to the drawing board. Right, so I think I've got you as close as I can get you. The paper that I'm using is Archer's watercolour paper. It's got an awful lot of tooth on it, which is brilliant because you can go back over with your white. There's enough tooth on there to do that. I'm using the Pablo coloured pencils. And this one is in the tone dark grey. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and build up as many colours that are in our reference. So black dogs tend to have a lot of brown and blue highlights. So all I'm going to do firstly is place the highlights in just roughly with lots of different blue and grey tones. So we'll go ahead and we'll just work on a spot. I'll try and get a few spots where you can see me on the camera as well. It's not ideal, I need a better setup, but we'll get there. Everything in its time. Right, so we're putting some of those tones in. Now you don't ever really want to use black on its own, you want to blend it into the other colours. So we're going to go in with a greyish black now. And I'm not going to focus on all of the ear, I'm just going to do some bits just to show you how we can build the highlights up. Okay. And I also have now a slate grey. Now just building up colours. And they're my absolute favourite in this range because it's got the blue that we need. Without having to put loads of black on top of it, is this greyish black. It's a really nice, a lot of the greys have got a bit of a shade of a blue to them in the lighter range, which is really good. That just helps things. And I'm not going to go all the way to the end because I will touch that up once we've started to do our blending. So we will need to do this a couple of times. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take our, I'll try and show you on the camera without throwing it all over myself, the pencil blending Zest It. Because you've got a tooth on the paper, the underlayers, if you can thin them down, that's what gives you the colour, the basic colour, but then allows you to go back over and add darker colours, lighter colours, and just bring it all together. So you see we blend that. I'm not going right to the edge because we want to be a bit more precise with that later on. We're just going to blend all of that out. And as you can see, we've got lots of different colours there. Lots of different tones, lots of different highlights. I don't think I blended this bit up here. So, ideally, you want to let that sit just a wee minute or two. It's not as bad on the Archer's watercolour paper because it will soak up quite well. Now you can see here on this side, you can see I've used just jet black because I'm building up the colours. On this side you can see, however, all the different colours that are involved in this pet portrait. So I'm going to let this sit a minute and then I'm going to come back. Okay, so I've let that sit for a little while, and at this point you really want to make sure that you're covering your drawing just a little bit, because this will smudge, it will get on your hands and your fingers. And now I'm going to go in with my black, and I'm going to decide where the pieces of fur, the individual pieces of fur, sit. Now this hasn't completely dried, but we are going to need to put another coat on anyway. I'll not get it done in the first attempt. But the lighter the layers, the more you have to play with on the tooth. So that's putting our darker bits in. This bottom bit is all black, and then to be fair, this part here, and so I'll do that later on. If anybody wants a video on the tools that I use, the different coloured pencils, etc., pop that in the comments. We can do that. I've now amassed a huge amount of coloured pencils. I do occasionally use oils. I have got an airbrush, although that hasn't seen the light of day for a while since we moved. I've got watercolours and acrylics and some pastels. I haven't used pastels for a long time. Maybe I should do a video on the pastels. What do you think? So again, we're just marking that up in there, getting some colour on there, smudging it in. So we've now, I don't know whether you've ever heard, you start with the dark and build your way up, which has always perplexed me because I was always like too heavy-handed with my coloured pencils. And then consequently there was no tooth left on the paper for any lights. That wasn't happening. So I find the Zest-It, it allows you to build up so many more layers because you're effectively removing some. So I'll let that dry again and I'll come back to you. So now we can go in and we can start to use that as our base. I suppose the best way to refer to it is, you remember those scratch things? Used to be black and used to scratch through to get the colour. It's kind of what you're doing, is you're building your darkest layers first, because it is a black dog. You could do this more predominantly brown, depends on the dog really, but because I have done his sister in more of the blue tones, that is what I'm aiming for, is so that they're similar, because obviously they're going to sit on the wall together. So you can just now go through with any highlight colours you want. But you're also in a position whereby I can get my black and I can very lightly deepen up some of these. If I want it to be more of the black colour, I can put the black in there. And maybe feather those in there. And at the same token, if I was unhappy with any of that, I could then go back in, add the Zest-It, and basically start again. So it's not a we're not sitting here doing the whole portrait, but for example, if I wanted to now take this blue and highlight these pieces as well, I could, and then swap it out and maybe go for a bit of the grey there. What I can also do with the Zest It now, oh my goodness, that's a bit bright, is I can just come and knock it back a bit. Obviously you could do that with your coloured pencils. You could put a darker grey over the top or a bit of blue. But for me, coloured pencils are so expensive. If you're just going to take it back off again. So I shall now zoom in a little bit more, and you can see there it's not perfect, but that is how I would go about building up the colour. So make it down to your blacks, down to your darks, build up the lighter colours, and you've still got the option then at the end of the day to make it dark again where you need it to. Well, that's it from me today. I hope that's helped you. If you want a more in-depth tutorial, then pop that in the comments. Happy to do that, along with any other suggestions you might have. If you're interested in the progression videos of the portraits, I do post those on my TikTok account and my Facebook. I'll pop the links to my social media in the comments as well. Right, best go off and walk 3 dogs. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.